Hello and welcome back to Learning Objective 8 of Chapter 4. This is also the last video of Chapter 4 where we will explain the cost structure and compute the degree of operating leverage. So same, but different, still looking at that CVP formula. But first, some definitions. There are advantages and disadvantages to high costs with low variable costs, as well as organizations who have low fixed costs and high variable cost structures. So an advantage of the high cost structure is that income will be good will be higher in good years and be especially compared to companies with a lower proportion of fixed costs. That's because if you have a high volume of sales, once you hit that hurdle, every then incremental sale will be just that much more to your bottom line. But a disadvantage, so conversely, if you have a high degree of fixed costs, it will be harder to reach that threshold and your bad years will be worse, especially when compared to companies that have a lower proportion of fixed costs. So in summary, if you think that your company is awesome and you are pretty certain that you're going to have a high amount of sales, volume of sales, you would want what? You would want a higher relative portion of fixed costs because then each incremental sale will be that much more in your pocket. Yeah. A low fixed cost structure generally does lead to greater stability and income across good years and bad years. And that's because stability means that your bad years won't be as bad and it won't run you out of business. So an example would be like during the pandemic when a lot of the restaurants, most of the restaurants had shut down, but some of them had pivoted or had already had a food truck. So a food truck has relatively low amount of fixed costs relative to that of a full restaurant. I know DeVille in Calgary, they're now in Edmonton as well. I used to live in the same building as the original owner of DeVille, and he had not even a coffee truck, but like a coffee cart that was there at least during COVID, perhaps before, and I'm not sure if he still has it now, but relative to having all those fixed costs in a building or in a shop rented building, relatively low overhead as far as fixed cost goes with that coffee cart. So then if you're shut down or you can move the coffee cart around, you can figure out, how to have it in open air and be COVID compliant so that you're able to be a little bit more flexible. But at least you don't have as much money tied up in a fixed amount of expenses each time. And hey, you're still giving people coffee. Right? So coffee is going to cost what coffee does, whether it is, coming from a fixed structure or from a coffee cart. All right, so let's take a look at this further. Our degree of operating leverage can be calculated as follows. What is our contribution margin divided by our operating income? Poised another way, our percentage of operating income is equal to our degree of operating leverage times a percentage of sales. So we've just rearranged the formula. So basically times this by this in order to get the impact shown just another way. My apologies for the misalignment. This was something that I was unable to fix in the slides, and yet I thought it was an important illustration to demonstrate. All right, so rather than talking about this, let's look at it in an example. Again, feel free to give this a go or follow along with me, but regardless, I will see you in just a moment in the sheets. All right, so what is the degree of operating leverage? So degree of operating leverage is going to be equal to our contribution margin divided by operating income. Our contribution margin here is going to be our 4 minus 1. So contribution margin divided by operating income. Contribution margin is going to equal our $4 in sales minus $1 in fixed costs, and our operating income, let's see, is going to be our Our operating income is going to be our total income. Apologies. So our contribution margin is $3 per unit times by our total volume of sales. So let's see, times by 2,100 cups of coffee equals 6,300 divided by our operating income. So 6,300 minus $3,000 gives us our operating income of 3,300. Let's just make this slightly readable. And so that we see that our degree of operating leverage is going to equal 6,300 divided by 3,300 is equal to 1.909. So going back here, C is our correct answer. All right, so let's take a look at the next question. We have coffee clutch again. And so now we want to know if sales increase by 20%, how much should net operating income increase? Give it a pause, give it a go, and we'll see you in the next slide. All right, so welcome back. Going on to our second formula here. What is our percent change in operating income? Well, the facts and figures remain the same. So we'll take our degree of operating leverage from the prior slide and use that as our starting point here. Of course. Okay, special values only. Okay, perfect. So this was our degree of operating leverage, and then that's going to be times the percentage of sales. So percentage change of sales is going to be given to us in the question. Let's see, 20% increase in sales. So we're going to take this times by 20%, and that gives us an increase. So if sales increase by 20%, then we'll have a 38.2% increase in operating income. So it's a lever. This is going to act as a lever because effectively, once the hurdle of the fixed costs are cleared, then what is an increase in the amount of sales and how does that go down to the bottom line? So kind of cool as far as being able to that, or I mean, you could just run through the whole scenario again. We know our base case, we know what our sales cost, we know what our variable costs are. And so you could always say, well, great, sales increased by 20%. We went from, 400 units to I guess 480, and what would net operating income increase by? However, this way, you can utilize the formulas that are derived from the contribution margin statement and employ them to see that it is 38.18%. So going back to our slides here, then that rounds to 38.2. So if sales increase by 20%, how much should net operating income increase by? And that'll be B. Okay. And definitely don't want to pick A. Definitely don't want to pick 20% because that was the amount of sales increase. So unless your degree of operating leverage is 1, basically meaning you don't have any fixed costs, then that's what it would be. All right. So looking at this entire chapter, cost volume profit, CVP analysis. It's based on a relatively simple model. Its base is a simple model of the contribution margin and operating income, and gives us a number of answers as far as what happens when there's a change in selling price, what happens when there's a change in costs, what about volume. The CM ratio, the contribution margin ratio, is the total contribution to total sales. It's a ratio that can be used to estimate the effect of a change in total sales on operating income. Then we looked at the break-even point as a level of sales, either in units or dollars, at which a company generates 0 profits. From there, we also added on our target profit as well as our target after-tax profit. Next, we looked at the margin of safety, which is what is the amount by which the company's current sales or budgeted sales exceed the break-even sales. Lastly, we use the CVP analysis, the contribution margin ratio formula, to look at our last scenario, whereas we were investigating the degree of operating leverage which measure the effect of a percentage of change in sales relative to the company's operating income, where the higher the degree of operating leverage, the more sensitive operating income will be to a change in sales. Awesome. Thank you so much for your attention. Friendly reminder that depending on when you're listening to this, the week of January 27th to 31st, you have your first term test. This is a timed term test. You will have 60 minutes to complete it, but we are open to when you complete it. So please feel free to complete it anytime during Monday at 8 a.m. to Friday at 5:30 p.m. You will have 3 term tests throughout the course, and the lowest one will be dropped. The lowest one including if you are just too busy and can't get to any of them. So, or you have a life event that comes up. So every student is able to drop 1 term test. The chapter contents will be 1 to 3. Chapters 1, 2, and 3, and a sample term test which shows the types of questions, but not the exact content, so just the form, true, false, multiple choice, some medium-term answers. That's also available in Brightspace. So have any questions, please post to the discussion board or come see us during office hours. Again, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.